Good morning and welcome to a Purple Chips web update for August 30th, 2012. I'm John Schwinghammer, the author of Purple Chips, published by John Wiley & Sons and available everywhere. And before I start, I'd like to go through the disclaimer very quickly. The information contained in this presentation is based on the criteria of the Purple Chips model and is not intended to be a solicitation to buy or sell securities or investment advice. This presentation has not been approved by the author's employer. The information contained herein is believed to be accurate but cannot be guaranteed. Stocks can be risky and you should consult a professional before investing in the stock market. Now, let's move on to the key points today. I'll just summarize. Just a moment. Okay, first I'm going to start with the general overview. This is all about TSX stocks today, so the Canadian listed stocks. Because we don't talk about those all the time. There's a lot less movement than with the U.S. stocks that we cover. So I'll give you an overview of the market. We're going to talk about OpenText, Petro Mineralis, Barrick, Shaw, Thomson Reuters, SNC, and Catamaran. First thing in the overview, what I'd like to point out is that the valuation ranges have generally moved higher. And there's also something very interesting that's happening in the market. We're seeing a lot of stocks that are moving into higher valuation ranges and actually much higher than their previous valuation ranges. And so this is a sign that we are finally getting some indications that we're emerging from the long-term bear market that we've been in. It does not mean that we won't go lower before we move higher, but certainly the signs are there that the bear market is ending. Now, let's start with OpenText. This is the picture with OpenText. As you can see, the earnings line is progressing well. The stock has moved up from about $45 to $55, and lately $53.18. While I'm showing you this chart, it's at $53.18. We lowered the range a little bit on OpenText, and that's because when you have a phenomenon like this where you basically make a valuation reset, the high end of the valuation will now be somewhere closer to $60. So I believe that OpenText, should trade in a range between 47 and 60, something thereabouts. The next stock we want to talk about is Petro Mineralis, and just reminding you that we're talking only about Canadian stocks today. So Petro Mineralis has a nice upward trend in earnings. We can see the last trade here, it's just under $10. We think the stock is at a low valuation, under $11. And again, this is the kind of stock, it's a high volatility stock, okay, so because it's an oil stock, but it's got the right earnings curve that we're looking for. And I would expect that at some point in the next 12, 18 months, you'll probably see Petro Mineralis get up towards 25. Just a moment. Okay, and Barrick is our next stock. Just a moment. Barrick, I wanted to mention that all the golds are still very, very inexpensive. And so right now, Barrick is trading around $36.70. We think this is a deal, and we expect all the gold stocks to move up, get closer to, in the example of Barrick, to their historical valuation range, which would put it around $50. Now let's look at Shaw. Shaw's kind of interesting. You can see that this is undervalued. The earnings line is progressing nicely. The stock is just a little bit over $20, so we liked it under $20. And we think that if it moves up to the high end of the valuation range, it could be somewhere between $24, $25, something like that. And it also pays a very nice dividend. Now let's look at Thomson Reuters. These are all stocks that are that are in the zone, let's say. They're all at low valuations. Thomson Reuters at $28. Again, it's got a fairly nice earnings per share curve, moving up steadily. It also pays a very good dividend. I think it's around 4%. And I would expect at some point that this stock will get closer to $40. So that's not a bad deal. Now, how about some stocks that were changing on the list of Purple Chips? SNC. Okay, they had their problems, and the thing that I don't like about SNC, and I'm going to show you this here, is this situation right here. Okay, the earnings dropped off a cliff. Whenever that sort of thing happens, it means that there's a high level of unpredictability in this, and this is what we don't want. So a Purple Chip should never have that sort of situation. We need to be able to expect that the earnings are predictable and stable. So SNC is being dropped from the list. There's another company called Catamaran Catamaran Corporation, which used to be SXC Health Solutions, and this one is shaping up very nicely. So we've added this to the list of purple chips, and you can see why. I mean, it's got a very nice earnings progression, and this company was actually public for longer than what we see, and so it has more than 7 years of earnings history, but they changed the name and it became Catamaran Corporation. So anyhow, that's a wrap for today. I'm John Schwinghammer, the author of Purple Chips, and thank you for watching.